the lower back.
Easter Sunday is a holiday celebrated by millions of people around the world, boys and girls. And I'm here to tell you that it is way better than that Thanksgiving you celebrate because no one really eats bunnies. Not like they do turkeys. No, they don't eat me. They just make a lot of money off my image with the cheap milk chocolate likenesses of me. And they make snowy white sugar patties with a lot of preservatives because Americans like a lot of preservatives in their food because they believe it's a way of preserving their lifestyle. But that's another story. We're talking about Easter and the Easter bunny. Moi, me. Yes, Easter, the day of Jesus. So a lot of people want you to believe. The myth goes something like this. For being too much like Buddha, Jesus was hung on a cross until he died. And then 3 days later, he rose from the dead, like a Mary Shelley novel, and spooked everyone. Fortunately for you boys and girls, this myth will soon be over and you'll be able to attain real spiritual growth in your lifetime. However, for now, Easter is still known as the Zombie Jesus holiday. Now, Easter is what you would call a movable feast. A movable feast, not to be confused with that movable feast from the writer Ernest Hemingway, who wrote a book by the same name after the First World War. The war that was supposed to end all wars. No, Hemingway's movable feast was about drinking a lot of alcohol in Paris to avoid coming back to the USA after he realized how screwed up the USA was for profiting off a war that killed all his friends and made a lot of money for families like the Bushes and the Rockefellers. Yes, the benefactors from wars. Just as they are the main benefactors from lower taxes, private schools, and tollways. But that's another story. But I'm just a silly rabbit. What do I know about these things? I'm here to tell you about the movable feast called Easter, which is a movable feast because it is celebrated the first Sunday following the full moon after the March equinox. What is bizarre about Easter is that everyone, including the most biblical scholars, agree that Easter was originally a pagan festival. The word Easter is from the Saxon word Estra, the goddess of spring, in whose honor sacrifices were offered after the March equinox, just as they are now with our current Easter. True that. Why did the pagans celebrate this holiday? Well, according to Dr. Tony Nugent, a Christian, what? No, really, according to Tony Nugent, not to be confused with Ted Nugent, the gentleman from Michigan who wears girls' nylon and pretends to be a tough guy. But inside we all know he's sissy, weakling who plays with guns. But again, I digress. Back to Tony Nugent, the educated Christian, who knows that the pagan Easter story comes from the Sumerian legend of Dumuzi. Now, it's not really Dumuzi. It's actually pronounced Tammuz, but spelled D-A-M-U-Z-I. Pronounced Tammuz. And his wife, Inanna, which is actually pronounced Ishtar, I-S-H-T-A-R, from a tablet dating back in the year 2100. No, Ishtar, blah. Now, this story is from a tablet dating back to 2100 years before the Jesus myth. This pagan story goes, Tammuz dies, Ishtar grieves and follows him to the underworld. There she is judged. She's naked too, but that's another story. She is judged, killed, and then hung on display. After she is missing for 3 days, her assistant goes to the other gods, where Enki brings her back to life. Enki's always been a good god. He is, and he's there now if you want to pray to him, but that's another story. Yes, another of those wonderful natural celebrations we did with our hearts and our souls until the high and mighty church came along and told us to stop dancing to Enki and start kneeling to Jesus. And tithing and, guys can't be with guys, girls can't be with girls, but men can't be with kids. Now, that is your church. No, not mine. But, I'm digressing again. Here we go. So where do me, Mr. Bunny, or should I say Mrs., I'm kind of afraid to look, Bunny, come from? Well, I am the leftover symbol from the early Estor goddess. who would eventually be celebrated as a rabbit. In the ancient customs, eggs were exchanged as a sign of fertility. How cool is that? Happy Easter, everyone. Keep it real. This is Bunny Owl.